Oh, god damn it. Is that actually OnlyWaifu? Why, OnlyWaifu's f***ing laggy. Come on, man. God damn you. You latent fuck Argentinian piece of shit.
So unfair.
Jesus Christ. YouTube content creator, OnlyWaifu, everyone.
Oh, my dear little lamb sauce. Receiving written hate mail is one thing, which is really fun, but receiving video hate mail, that simply hits different. Besides this hilarious incident, what we were doing here was conducting some field testing on a weapon bug that has been present since the beginning of patch 1.10. While it may not be as spectacular as other glitches like the infamous chainsaw glitch featured in our previous video, it still serves as a testament to FromSoft's spaghetti code, making it worth exploring. As you may already know, patch 1.10 introduced changes to poise and hyper armor for all weapons in the game, in an attempt to bring balance to PvP. For those who are not familiar, poise is the value that determines how many hits you can take before being staggered, while hyper armor provides a significant boost to poise and defense when performing certain actions. While all weapons received changes to their poise damage, heavy weapons were given guaranteed hyper armor on two-handed attacks across the board. However, there are two specific weapon types that have bugs related to their poise damage and hyper armor values, giving them unfair advantages. Essentially, they cheat. Today, we are going to take a look into these two weapon types, what their extra benefits are, and how to make the most of them, and how to stop any monkey from kicking your ass with them too. The first weapons we're going to look into are the Great Spears. Great Spears are heavy weapons that focus on piercing damage, as most attacks are, well, pokes. Being long and heavy dongs, two-handing these bad boys grants hyper armor during most of the attack. However, using them with one hand does not provide hyper armor on attacks, unless you use them on your left hand. When using lances on your left hand, your L1 attack, providing that you're not using two lances, will grant hyper armor. This is definitely an oversight, as other heavy weapon types that also gain hyper armor on their two-handed attacks do not gain hyper armor when used on the left hand. You may think that this is not really a big deal, but here's the thing. Having an instant hyper armor button on your left hand leaves your right hand free for a fast attacking weapon to add monumental pressure. The enemy will not know when to attack or not, because they may just trade into hyper armor instead of a fast weapon attack. And if that wasn't enough already, since the lance's damage consists mostly of thrusting attacks, it has counter damage, which is a bonus that's triggered when interrupting an enemy mid-animation, making winning trades quite easy. And of course, it can also be boosted by the Spear Talisman for even more counter damage. This setup can be very oppressive if played correctly, all because of an oversight by From Software. Yay! Our second buggy weapon is yet another thrusting type weapon, as if they didn't need any more advantaged already, huh? Regular thrusting swords were affected by the poise damage changes, just like every other weapon. The changes consisted of increasing the poise damage of the first hit, so it will always stagger, and reducing the poise damage of subsequent hits, so they can be tanked with the right amount of poise, which is different for each weapon type. This helps all weapons achieve priority from a single R1, as opposed to before, where some weapons were practically useless in the meta. However, yes, of course there's a however. Thrusting swords have a dirty little secret. If you equip a thrusting sword in your left hand, the second attack of the thrusting sword will deal the same poise damage as the first attack, making it have superior priority over the rest of the weapon types. The attack also comes out fast enough to prevent hyper armor from triggering on heavy weapons, essentially making a priority monster. And as you might be already diagramming in your head, yes, tarnished, thrusting swords deal pierce damage, benefiting from both counter damage and the Spear Talisman for very big damage numbers. As always, pierce damage reigns supreme in the PvP meta. Some people clearly didn't get the memo though. But before you start pre-nutting with joy at the thought of thrusting your weapon into your enemies until they perish, you first need to make a proper build to make the most of From Software's chicanery. Needless to say that you're going to be using the Spear Talisman all the time here. It's a must-have to enhance that juicy counter damage, either from great spear trades or thrusting swords. Thrusting. What stats you want to get depends entirely up to you. Of course, the higher your level, the less you have to worry about this, but if you're going to go for a meta level setup, a strength build is heavily recommended.
Get it?
You may be tempted to try a dexterity build, since you will not be two-handing weapons, which is where strength shines, but the setups that are the most effective for these weapons all use strength weapons, and also because strength increases your physical defenses. Around 60 or 70 strength should do the trick. For the great spear, I recommend using the good old lance on your left hand, obviously heavy infused, with a clean rot knight sword in your right hand for more pierce damage synergy. Wearing down your opponent with clean rot pokes is the way to go, as you want to start forcing trades when your enemy has less health than you, making great use of the hyper armor's boosted defense. Unlike the poise damage changes for weapons, the hyper armor changes also work for PvE, so it's not a bad idea to use the setup there either. For the thrusting swords, Clean Rot Knight Sword is heavily recommended as it's literally one of the best weapons in the game. In your right hand, you can use, well, whatever you want really, but as always, it is recommended to use a weapon that synergizes with the pierce damage bonuses, so a halberd would usually be the best choice. In strength builds, the Knight Rider Glaive has the best scaling of all halberds, having an astonishing S scaling. The regular R1 attack might be an overhead slash, but the running attack is a thrust attack, which deals a lot of damage on counter hits. Alternatively, the Banished Knight Halberd is also a good choice, and it has thrusting regular R1 attacks, making use of the halberd's range for long pokes and spamming the first two attacks of your Clean Rot at close range to abuse that bugged poise damage is the best way to use this setup. Having explained the best way to use them, now we got to take a look at the best way to counter them. So hit me with that transition, baby. The Great Spear setup sincerely could not be more obvious. If you see a Gorgonite using a lance on their left hand, you just know they're wanting to monkey trade their way to victory. Avoid trades by baiting their L1 attacks and dealing damage yourself with a fast weapon, if possible. Something like a halberd with the running attack, a dagger, fists, a curved sword or a thrusting sword should do the trick. When they start getting low, trading hits will certainly not be an option, and their little gimmick will be nullified. Additionally, wearing Lionel's set, which has the highest pierce damage defense in the game, can help against unfortunate trades. As for the Clean Rot setup, one thing to note is that this is literally the best setup in the game, currently arguably stronger than the left-handed Great Spear setup, and this is because of the immense pressure it can deal from both long and short range. It's very versatile, so you'll have to fight it with brains rather than brawl. Using a colossal greatsword can be useful if you can properly time your crouch pokes, but if you have trouble with this, something with hyper armor can also be good. Always wearing the Lionel's set to minimize the pierce damage you receive. Fingerprint shield with something to shield poke also works pretty good, since it will protect you from both the halberd and Clean Rot pokes, especially that close-range Clean Rot. However, nothing against this setup is a guaranteed win, and you'll need to rely on your skills to achieve victory. Just be sure to not spam Moonveil like a monkey. And there you go, Tarnished. Strength Chads keep rejoicing in this patch, it seems. Time to poke your way to victory. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like, a comment, and share it with friends. Consider subscribing to OnlyWaifu for more videos like this. Be sure to brush your teeth before bed. And as always, thanks for watching.